All right, all right. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello to all you people out there. I am Aaron from Solace, back at you for the first office hours of 2022. So happy New Year to everybody out there. Hope you had a good holiday season. I'm going to go ahead and bring in my special guest, Steve. Hey, Steve.
Aaron,
All right, how's it going?
Nice. Good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. We haven't seen each other yet. I am back in Singapore now. So I was in Canada for like 5 months. I've only been to the office once, so I haven't seen anybody yet. But
Well, at least
you
you've
still,
been somewhere. Yeah, I haven't been anywhere in 2 years.
oh man. Well, yeah. I once I got my vaccines, I went home for what turned into quite a long visit. So yeah, I had a good time in Canada. Did a few office hours and a few developer workshops from there with some of our North American colleagues and customers. But yeah, happy to be back in the tropics. Apparently, Ottawa, it's they've had some massive snowstorms and like minus 30-degree centigrade weather. So I'm not that unhappy about missing it. So things here are good. We'll have to connect in the office soon.
Yes. Look forward to seeing you in person.
So yeah, all right. So hi everybody, welcome. Today Steve and I are online for an hour to answer questions, to talk about Solace Tech, event-driven architectures, and you know the drill. Just come online, tell us where you're joining from, ask us a question if you have about Solace, about microservice architectures, about I don't know, anything you want. Just throw it up in the chat. We'll try and get to all the questions. As usual, we're going to be taking a look at the Solace community and seeing if there are any questions on there that maybe are lingering or pending, and we can ask a few. I know that Steve has a demo for us a little bit later. We can talk about that. Actually, do you want to tease it out a little bit there, Steve?
Yes. Now, Solace has a nice product called Event Portal. If you haven't heard of it, it's a way to visualize what's going on in your broker, whether the broker is Solace or say Kafka. Now, usually when we create queues and we have publishers and subscribers and everything connected to a broker, we don't really have an idea what's going on. After some time, for example, if you've had a system that's been running for a couple of years, unless you've been very diligent in documenting everything, you really don't know who's publishing what and who's consuming what.
Mm-hmm.
So the event portal from Solace, the Solace Event Portal, is a way to let you discover what's there and graphically show it to you on the screen. Not only that, if you're a very disciplined person, then you could design the entire architecture, like who's publishing what, who's subscribing what, using the event portal as well. So the event portal can be used for design, for reverse engineering,
Mm-hmm.
as well as just as a point of documentation of your event-driven architecture. So when you have a new person joining your team or your company, you can just point her to the event portal and say, look, this is what we're doing now. And he or she can pretty quickly figure out what's going on, who's publishing what events are being published, what events are being consumed,
what's available, what format available.
What schema are they publishing, what topic names are they using, what queue names are they using. All this information can be retrieved pretty easily.
It's like, I mean, I would say most people that know Solace kind of know us for the broker. You know, we've been a broker technology company for a long time. As we build out our platform to be more just kind of end-to-end event-driven architectures, and you need this. You need an API platform for events, right? And so yeah, I have showed it a couple times on the live stream before. I mean, for all you people out there, the event portal is free to try. I mean, sign up for Solace Cloud. It's free for a trial, and you can play with this yourself. But yeah, Steve is going to give us a demo of an event-driven architecture that he's built in the event portal. Hey, we got a comment here. It's who do we got? Hey, Gary's out there. Hey, Gary.
Hey, Gary.
Good morning. Good morning to you. It's 9:30 a.m. out there. Is this live? Yeah, it is live. It's live right now. If you're watching this, you know, in a couple hours, it won't be live, but it's live this second. So yeah, we're live. Got a question? Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the event portal. This is Solace Mission Control, I think it's called, for the Solace Cloud. And yeah, well, Steve, do you want to do your demo right now, or should we? Do we have any announcements or anything?
Oh, should we wait for a couple more people to join? It's okay.
No, yeah, we can wait a couple more minutes. So, usually the format during these office hours are people kind of phone in with a question. If you have a question about Solace APIs, about anything, feel free to put it in the chat and we'll get to it. Solace Developer Community is your one-stop shop to kind of find out all sorts of things that are going on in Solace world. We post upcoming events in there, early access to APIs, such as our Golang API is now EA, or early availability. So be sure to go, if you're a Go person and want to try that out, check that out there. Yeah, we get lots of, look at all these questions we got. I actually haven't prepped much to kind of go through this, but we got some questions to answer here. Oh, all right. So yeah, we'll have to wait to see if we get some questions on there, Steve. So anything come up recently with customers or for you? Like what? I guess it's the start of the year. It's always a little bit slow in January, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of customers just coming back to work. What did I learn? I've done quite a bit of event portal lately with customers. They quite like it. The feedback I got was there's nothing else out there that does something similar. So it's quite a surprise to them that there is such a thing called the event portal. I've done a couple now with some customers.
I think I'm pretty sure Solace was first with designing a portal specifically for event-driven architectures and events. There are lots of API portals for REST-based APIs for synchronous request response, and a lot of customers don't know they need this. As we have done in the past when designing these systems, we use a big Excel spreadsheet to kind of document all the topics. We have a big PowerPoint document to kind of show, or Visio to show interaction. So yeah, we're building it before people even know they kind of need it. And you generally don't need something as big as this when you're first starting out, right? If you only have 2 apps or 3 apps that kind of talking to each other. But as you said, as your thing grows and kind of the distribution of events kind of starts to spread across the enterprise, you really need to kind of stay on top of trying to document it and all those interactions, right? So
yeah, I'm working with a customer who has hundreds of broker instances. And they just took over this landscape from the previous team, so they have virtually no idea what's going on, what applications are sending what events, and what applications are those events going to. So they found the event portal really useful. And I think that's an extreme use case where you just dropped into a broker landscape and you're supposed to know what's going where, but I think it's still quite useful for this. We've got a comment from one of our viewers.
Hey, all right, yeah, let's take a look here. Hazem Salem, hello. Hey team, I'm new to this. Currently evaluating Confluent for data streaming. Confluent, yes, Confluent platform. Data integration, real-time use case. I'd like to understand more about Solace's streaming capability. Okay. Yeah, streaming platforms versus event-driven platforms versus. I don't know, Steve. Do you want to take a first crack at that, and or I can?
Okay, streaming. Okay, streaming generally means that the information is unbounded, right? Theoretically, you got no beginning and no end. It's a stream, so it's like your Facebook stream or something. There's no start, there's no end. Generally that's what it means, and of course technologies like Solace and Kafka are streaming technologies because information is constantly being published and subscribed. There's no beginning, there's no end. But I guess I'm not sure what your question is about.
Just generally, I mean, like it's kind of it's a very broad, open-ended question. So this could be answered in many ways.
I would say that's opposed to the traditional batch or file-based data processing, where you have a discrete block like this file. It's got a beginning, it's got an end. And that's the batch. That's the batch size. So batch versus streaming. That's what I mean. Streaming generally, there's no discrete chunk that has a beginning and an end. It's just constantly coming. But it may, if you don't get one this minute, it might come in the next minute or the next hour, the next day. So things just are not processed in discrete chunks, unlike a file or a batch. That's the difference for and there are many.
Well, that's the difference between Kafka or a streaming platform versus a traditional approach like a database, right? But...
Yeah. Kafka does a lot of things. It does PubSub, but it also does data processing. Right? You can put your business logic and massage the data inside, but that's usually done outside the Kafka cluster. Right? They usually have technologies that sit outside the PubSub brokers that do the actual data processing, just like an app server in the old days.
I would say like there's a significant there's some similarities between Kafka and Solace. Kafka is essentially a streaming database. I mean, it writes everything to a file. So there's this file, there's this event log that they can replay from and that they can process analytics on. Solace is more geared to inter-app communication, more real time. We have both persistent and non-persistent in memory only qualities of service. Kafka, because of the kind of centralized file-based architecture, it's much more of a many things in, and then from that point kind of could be many things out. Whereas with Solace, it's more of an anything to anything kind of, you can build more of a mesh. We kind of allow much broader kind of end-to-end kind of connectivity between microservices.
Yes, I think that's a good distinction. So Solace is more focused, it's more geared towards moving data around all over the world, that you can join different clusters together pretty easily. You can have a worldwide mesh, for example, whereas Kafka is more about storing data and then retrieving it back. So it's like a simple database that also does PubSub. For example, Kafka, you can store data in there for as long as you want, but there's no indexing. So it's not like
until you run out of disk, space anyway.
Or you run out of disk, yeah. But the one of the main challenges is there's no indexing. You can't index by whatever field you want. So if you want to retrieve data just by some other field that's not a key, then it's got to churn through a lot of data to get you what you want. So it's more like a file essentially. It's very file based. Yes, you can put things in there as long as you want, as long as you got this space, but you can't treat it like a general purpose database. Right? There's only one key.
Per partition here. So
yeah,
per partition. A bit more detail. I want to use streaming to create a single source of truth data integrations for data in real time and keys. Store the data for 7 years. Wow.
Yeah, you can, but just watch how you want to retrieve that data. So if you got 7 years worth of data and you want to retrieve it by a field that's not indexed, then you might have to churn through 7 years of data.
7 years of data.
Yeah, I don't know. So it's kind of pretty slow.
I mean, I know that Kafka can store data going that far back, but would that be its primary? Like, I don't know Kafka as well as you, Steve, but I mean, would that be its primary? Wouldn't you eventually offload kind of that archive really old data to some kind of more traditional data store? I mean, I guess you could leave it in Kafka for that long.
You could. I mean, you can keep it in Kafka. It's just how you want to get it back, and is it the most efficient way to get it back? Do you want to sift through all that data to get back something that you want? Because as I said, the search capabilities are pretty limited.
Yeah. So
unless you want to read it back all sequentially, like from the beginning of time, which is what. So
I think yeah. If you're looking for like kind of like a data store, a long-term data store, that's not what Solace does. Solace, stores data temporarily between guaranteed endpoints to make sure that if the broker crashes or the network goes down, there's data in there. We do have a replay capability where the data can be stored in the broker, but it's not a database. Solace is not a database technology.
Yes. Solace is like a courier service or postal service. It makes sure it doesn't lose your article or your letter or your parcel, but it's not designed to be a warehouse.
Yes. That's I like that. That's pretty good. We're a high-speed courier and not a
It's a high-speed courier.
That's right.
High-speed courier, guaranteed delivery.
So on the screen here, I have just one of the landing pages on our solace.com website, solace.com/Kafka. It's kind of just, I think the people have put kind of everything up there about kind of Solace plus Kafka, Solace against Kafka. there's discussion about kind of how they're different and how they can be used together. So go check that out. And if you have more questions, come find us on community, solace.com/community. Where is my banner? There we go. Join the community. I don't have the URL. There we go. Head over there, ask us a question, because I'm sure there are other people listening that would want to know. So thanks for the questions.
We have another
right.
question as well. To the Moon asked us, is the
Hi, to me.
temporary queue quota apply to all Solace sessions in the machine?
The temporary queue quota applies to all Solace sessions in the machine. I don't quite get this, but I'm gonna explain what I think you're asking. So so there are a number of different resources on the broker, such as how much disk space can every queue take up, how many total queues or endpoints are you allowed to create. This is across the broker as well as per message VPN. Each message VPN is kind of your virtual partition of a single broker. You can have multiple VPNs on the same broker. Not a network VPN for people that are confused by this terminology. It's just how we do multi-tenancy. But temporary queue quota. So when you configure a queue or a temporary queue endpoint, so we call it a dynamically created non-durable endpoint, it will count against kind of the total number of endpoints on the broker. So if you're using a very low tier of Solace Cloud, for example, I think the lowest is 100 or 250, Steve, I can't remember. Yeah, if you have a bunch of sessions,
I think it's 100. Yeah,
I think it's 100 for the lowest. If you have a
Yeah.
bunch of sessions, connections, and each one of them is creating a temporary queue, or they're creating multiple temporary queues, yeah, each one of those counts towards your total number of endpoints, whether they're temporary or not. So I think that's what you're asking. Steve, do you concur, or do you have a different take on this?
Yeah, I think it's something similar. I think all queues on Solace have quotas. So I guess temporary queue quota, I think it applies to all Solace sessions in that message VPN, in that partition, not on the machine or even on the broker.
Well, there's both. I mean, if you have a very small, so with our software broker, there's different tiers, right? How many cords and how much memory you give to it. And so the very first time you boot it up, your Docker container, it's going to start with 100. And so the broker itself, even if your VPN supports 1,000, if the broker only supports 100, it's going to count against that. So whatever limit you hit first, yeah. So I don't know. I think that's what you asked. So to the moon, if that answered you, great. If not, come back with a little bit more detail, please, because we try our best. Hey, yes. Okay, cool. I was thinking about using side by side. I'll keep in touch. Very good. All right, sounds good.
Yeah,
Excellent.
actually, that's a good point, because a lot of our customers use Solace and Kafka together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because like I said, you need a post office or courier service, and you need a warehouse to store all your goods. So most people would need both. And Solace and Kafka are complementary.
Mm-hmm.
They complement each other.
We get asked a lot, during my developer workshops, often just how are you different than Kafka? How are you, which one's better? Because they both use the word topics, they both use the word PubSub, but their actual architectures are so different, and their use cases are quite, there is an overlap on that Venn diagram, but they are very, very different, right? In terms of kind of lightweight microservice integration, I tried to download the Confluent Cloud API samples just the other day, and Maven pulled down 370 jars of dependencies just for the Hello World kind of intro PubSub samples. It blew my mind. I couldn't believe it pulled down that much stuff. So just in terms of and then when it bundled it all together, I built an Uber jar just for the samples. It was 70 meg. So I was like, how is this for lightweight microservice architectures? I can see Kafka being deployed, for your data processing, your streaming kind of integration, kind of all once the data is kind of funneled into your back end. But for kind of lightweight microservice interaction, that seems like a lot of overhead, versus an MQTT API, which is literally 100K, right? And you have a WebSocket connection into the broker, and it allows you to do bidirectional communication with other microservices. So.
Yeah. I think if you're going to use if you just need a technology for PubSub, Kafka, I like to think of this analogy. So Kafka is like a truck. It can move your parcels from one place to another, and Solace is like a sports car, right? So one is lightweight and all that. If you just need to go to the shops to get some bread and milk, do you drive a massive 18-wheeler truck, or just you want to take a car? I think Kafka is good for moving massive amounts of data. Like if you need to move 10 tons of goods from one place to another, of course you take a big truck, an 18-wheeler truck. But if you just want to go to the shops or send your kids to school, a car is good enough. So I think that's the big difference. One is quite heavyweight, and it's really because you need to spin up lots and lots and lots of VMs, lots and lots of servers to have a simple production cluster in Kafka. But with Solace, it's a lot lighter weight, so it's good for microservices communication, where you don't need a big massive truck to move a couple of messages, or even a lot of messages. You just don't need that. You don't need that kind of resources.
I think that's actually the first thing they call out here on this little marketing table here is the venture of microsources and just IoT. Anyway, we talked lots about Kafka. So yeah, come do a bit of research. Come find us, ask some more questions. Thanks for the question. Hey, Paul.
Hi, Paul. Oh, Paul wants to look at all our episodes.
As a
not
podcast,
just me and you, but your other guests as well. Yeah,
that's right. He's mentioned. So I mean, when can as a podcast? So I mean, you can listen to YouTube. Just don't look at the video, and that could almost be like a podcast. I know that you've mentioned a podcast before. All the office hours are available on our YouTube channel for people that just don't know that we have a YouTube channel. I would hope that YouTube /C youtube.com/C/solace.com is the URL. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to post this in the chat so people can find, and all of our office hours are available there in perpetuity. So there we go. But yeah, just close your eyes, Paul. It's just instead it sounds like it'll be like a podcast. To the moon. Too many terms in your answer. Need to read more. Yeah, sorry. Okay. If you're new to Solace, then yeah, we maybe went a little bit too deep there on that question. But yes, if you create a temporary queue, it will count against the broker's resources, and at some point there's a limit. So that's, I think, the short version of that. So anyway, sorry if we went into. We should ask people to like put a ranking of 1 to 5 of how much they know about Solace. If it's a 5, we can go really deep. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for the questions, everybody. Keep them coming. Steve, I want to, we talked a bit about discovery. We talked about Kafka. We talked about the event portal. How about you share your screen and show people what you've prepared for today? Because I think it's actually pretty awesome.
Sure. Yes. So if you've just joined us, oh, sorry.
Let's do a switcheroo. Switcheroo. Are you ready? All right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yes. So if you've just joined us earlier in this session, we talked about how Solace has a product called the Solace Event Portal. The Event Portal is basically a place where you can see all your events, who's producing those events and who subscribing to those events. You can see the relationship between the producers and the subscribers. If you can see my screen now.
Zoom in a bit there.
Zoom in
Steve.
a bit.
Okay.
Okay. This has been anonymized. So that's why everything just says topic 1, topic 2, topic 3. But imagine you had you have an existing Solace or Kafka implementation, and you want to see graphically who's producing what, who's subscribing to
Hive
what.
or Nats.
Or Hive.
I mean,
yes.
There's plugins for all sorts of broker technologies. Not
yes.
Just...
And I don't know if we've open sourced it. We've got to open source the API for the event portal, so you can write your own plugins to the broker that you want, like brokers from all sorts of vendors out there, like the big guys. Maybe there's some legacy brokers as well, like MQ. So we've open sourced the API, so you can plug whatever broker you want. But this is just an example. So we pointed this scanner. So what it does is it scans a Kafka implementation, or Solace. In this case, it's Kafka, and it discovered these things. It discovered some producers. So if the arrows are going in, it's a consumer. If the arrows are going out, it's a producer.
To be clear, yeah, you didn't design this in the tool, right? Like, I mean, you can add events and add applications and draw their lines and everything, but this was all discovered automatically using this discovery agent.
Yeah,
right?
so I did not draw this. This picture was automatically drawn by the API.
By scanning your brokers. That's your Kafka broker specifically.
Yes, so it sort of does a semi-intelligent layout. Of course, I can move things around. If I don't like it, I can say, oh, I'm going to place this here, I'm going to place that there. That's fine. But I haven't touched this before this. It was just fresh generated, auto-generated. Now you can see that these green solid dots are the Kafka topics. So you can see this Kafka topic 1 is consumed by 3 consumers here: consumer 1, consumer 10, and something called Kafka Admin Portal. So presumably there's some admin portal here that consumes this topic, and it also consumes several other topics like topic 5, topic 10, and so on. So you can see the relationship already. Now this is a very simple example, but it can be quite complex in general. No, you can have one topic being produced by many producers, and similarly, one topic can be consumed by many consumers or consumer groups. Now, as well, you can see here some simple topics which only have one consumer, right? Which may be the case for a topic that's specific to an application. So this is the what we call the graph view. You also have an events view, which lets you see in a
those were all very
format.
those are all kind of very standalone typey guys, right? I mean, I've seen scans where it's like everything is going everywhere.
Yes,
you have a very nice.
I've seen some very complicated scans where you have like 100 topics going into a single consumer. So it must be like a big application that consumes from many topics.
Yep.
Or the reverse, where you have a single blob and then hundreds of lines going out of it. That means that produces many different topics and variations between.
We have a question, Steve. I know the answer, but maybe you want to take this. This event discovery, the tool, is it available? It's only for Solace Cloud, right? Not for appliance, not for software.
No, it's for everything. It doesn't even have to be for cloud. Yeah, it's for your on-prem appliances, hardware appliances, or your on-prem software brokers.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it works for Kafka on-prem or Kafka as a service like Confluent Cloud as well. So it works for any kind of deployment.
That's right. It's a downloadable executable. It's a Java application. I'm pretty sure it's actually a Spring Boot app.
It's a Docker file. You just go Docker pull blah 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 and then run it.
There's both. You can download on the portal. You can actually download the actual Java if you want to run it locally. But yeah, either Docker or Java. And so if you're on-prem, you just download it locally to your environment and show detailed instructions.
So these are the instructions. The run the discovery agent. So basically, you can get your discovery agent in many ways. You can have a standalone downloadable file or a Docker pull command.
Either one.
So once you get it on your system, whether it's on the cloud or whatever, then you do a scan. Now the scan results in a file. Now, if you have security concerns, like if your security people say, oh no, you can't upload it to the cloud, then you can let them look at the file, vet it first. Once they approve what's in the file, then you can upload it to the portal.
Yeah,
right. So
that's the cloud specific thing that So it runs locally. It generates a big JSON file locally. You can look at it to make sure that there's nothing confidential in there, but you do have to upload it into the Solace Cloud portal. Now, Solace Cloud has passed recently all of the ISO, ISAC, security specification, SOC 2 compliance with zero exceptions or whatever. So we're pretty safe. And if you have concerns around security, we can hook you up with our security team. But yeah, you can then kind of import it into the portal and take a look at your file, generate this stuff. There is apparently work being done to make a on-prem version of the Solace Event Portal that could run in Kubernetes, but I think that's still a ways away, so that's not an option right now.
Yes. And we have another question. Is there a performance impact while running it? Well, the way the discovery agent works is that it's just another consumer that's consuming from everything. So the performance impact would be minimal. It's just like adding another consumer, and consumers generally are pretty low impact to any broker.
Is that how the Kafka discovery works? So like for the Solace discovery, it does a couple things. One is it uses the SEMP, the management API protocol to look at, you know, the number of queues, the subscriptions on those queues, connected clients, subscriptions on those clients, etc. But it also uses the runtime API, the client messaging API, to subscribe to everything and pull down all that data to kind of look at the published topic space. So it kind of does a bit of both. On the Kafka discovery, is it only management scanning of like clusters and consumer groups, or does it listen to the live feeds as well?
I'm pretty sure it listens to the live feed. So using the Kafka API, you can discover all the topics that are there, and I guess it would subscribe to the topics. So the Kafka API allows you to discover what topics there, and also to subscribe to them. That's what I think it should do, something very similar.
There will be probably a small performance impact, right? I mean, if you're running on I wouldn't run this on a production system at peak load time. That might be because you're adding an additional consumer to that, at least on the Solace side, which I understand better. Yeah, you're adding an additional consumer, so you're kind of pulling down everything. There is work being done in the Solace broker to kind of do some of this within the broker itself. So rather than having a client API have to subscribe to it all. Steve, what's going on back there? You got some...
I've got... Yeah, that's my wife at the back. Yeah, doing her stuff.
Say hello. Yeah.
Hi. Okay, we've got another question. She says, do you have to be a Solace Cloud user to be able to use this tool, this portal?
Free to sign up though. Yep. Just sign up for Solace Cloud, 60-day trial. You want to do some discoveries. You do have to sign up. I mean, you have to, if you want to use the portal, you want to be able to run the discovery agent and visualize it. Yes, you have to sign up for Solace Cloud to do that. So
yeah, you go to solace.cloud and create an account. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, and then you can use it. So let me quickly go back. Okay, let me give you a quick tour of the event portal. So we have a discovery tab here, the little telescope on the left. So that's for running the discovery scan, and then you end up with this in the designer view. So the designer view has
this must be your personal account with only like 2 things. I've seen some very complicated
yeah, no, this is actually this is hosted in Australia, this one. So this is Solace Cloud Australia, which is kind of new. That's why there's hardly anyone on it yet. And okay, so this is the designer tab where you can see the graph view, the event view. So you can list all the events. If you click on the event, you'll see what topic it's on and schema if applicable. So if you have scanned the schema, it'll create it here as well. It tells you what are the applications subscribing to this topic or to this event. Then you've got a schema view. I haven't done any schemas here. And you've got an application view. So these are the producers and the consumers. What we call applications are actually participants in the event-driven architecture. So these guys either produce or consume events or both. And you can tell that how many events are. And if you click on them, you can see, if you click on each one of them, you can see what it's subscribing to, what it's publishing, and so on. So it's pretty useful. And remember, all this was automatically generated. I didn't have to type anything in manually for this. Then we've got a catalog view. So this event portal is multifaceted. The catalog view is it's an event catalog. So it's like an API catalog. Remember the old days when you had an API catalog? It'll say this API with this URI is for this, and this is how you call it. So this is very similar, but for
here's the response schema, here's what you can expect, and all that kind of stuff. So
yes, so event-driven architectures are very similar, but you don't have to call an API. You just subscribe to something, and the system will push it to you. Right. So that's the main difference between API portals and an event portal. And with an API portal, you've got to keep calling it. So for example, if you want the weather from your weather guys, you'll have to call it maybe every hour, every half an hour and say, what's the weather? But with an event-driven architecture, the weather people will call you, subscribe to a weather for say your city, and then when the weather forecast comes out, they'll push it to you. You just have to sit there subscribing. So this is the portal for that kind of architecture. So if you want to say subscribe to one of these Kafka topic 1, it'll tell you what topic it's hosted on, like what you have to subscribe to, and also which system you want to connect to. So I've got another system here, which is, I think one of my colleagues created this. It's some kind of ride share demo. So they've got their own events as well, like drivers accepted your ride.
Isn't that the default one that comes with the portal? Like, I mean, when you first sign up, I thought there is a default one that people can kind of explore.
Yeah, in fact, let's look at another example. That's a really good idea. Let's have a look at the rideshare one, which is a sample. So this is...
So yeah, for people that are new to Solace and new to the event portal, yeah, this is, this layout is...
so this aims to describe, say, an Uber or Grab or Gojek kind of system. So if you're implementing a ride-sharing application like Grab or Gojek or Uber, then you would have several services or microservices, if you want to call it. Like you have a driver management service, you have a driver app service, you have a billing app service, passenger app service, and so on, right? And these services, these microservices work by exchanging events with each other. For example, the driver management service, once the driver accepts your ride request, it'll send a ride accepted event to the passenger app. And when the passenger requests a ride, it'll send a ride requested event to the driver management app, and so on. So you can see that with this view, it's much, much easier to understand what's going on rather than reading pages and pages and pages of old-fashioned documentation. Right, at a glance, if you have a new...
what if you don't even have documentation? Like if you don't have documentation, you have to log into the broker and try to figure out manually what's going where, or look at source code, you know? I mean, like, oh my God.
Like a picture is worth 1,000 words. So if you have a new team member joining, just point them to this and go, you know, they can be productive pretty quickly. They can even write a new service. Say you want to add a new function to your application. Ask them to look at this and see if they can reuse any of the existing events for their new service. For example, you want to say send receipts to the corporate expense application, you know, which is very common these days. So your ride sharing app usually allows you to send your work travel receipts to the work application. Maybe you could ask your new joiner to write one of those. So the new joiner would look at this and say, what event do I need to listen to? Maybe they need to listen to this receipt generated. So obviously they need to listen to the receipt. So at the end of a trip, the receipts generated, maybe listen to this event and then pipe it off to that new application that sends it to the corporate expense system. Something like that. Right? Without this picture, that poor new joiner would be scratching her head. It's going, what? How do I start?
Yeah, so it's just, here you go. It's like almost auto documentation. It's a great way to kind of document and discover and catalog all of your event-driven applications. So this is why we built this, is as professional services people working with customers, we've run into the same things over and over, where you have like this giant spreadsheet of topics. You have kind of, you know, just a PowerPoint diagrams that kind of show interaction between things and they don't get updated. Word documents that specify schemas, and kind of just everything's kind of everywhere. And as they did for REST APIs, you had to build portals to allow you to manage and discover. That's why we built this. So yeah, no documentation. Well, this will help you document things. It'll try to reverse engineer as much as possible of your runtime environment so that you can kind of see what's there. So.
And let's look at this event. So assuming we need this event, let's click at this customer receipt generated event and see what.
I'm going to hide this for a second.
Yeah, let's
zoom in one.
It's got
zoom
a
in one or
schema
two
as
clicks
well.
there, Steve. But do the control plus a little bit there. Just
control plus. Okay. All right.
Oh, that's great. Oh, wow. Yeah.
And this is great. Look at this customer receipt generated event. It's even got a schema, so we can look at the schema and we can code it to the schema. So this is probably it's too big. So
That's a bit too big. Yeah.
this receipt generated event apparently has a couple of fields like a request ID, the total amount paid, it's a string, it's a total charge. So
oh, we do
imagine,
patterns now. That's new. I haven't seen that. That's great.
yeah, it's even got patterns. So if your job was to write the corporate expense generator thing, you could just take this, right? Take this, and then off you go. You can write a consumer that you already have the schema with you. It's fantastic. Imagine how much easier your job would be.
And we haven't even talked about auto code generation or things like that. Like from this schema and from the portal, it'll spit out async API specifications. So if you're familiar with Open API, Swagger, you can use it to build a Java app or a Node app that will consume and respond with the right payload, kind of do the marshaling, unmarshaling of your HTTP call. Same thing can happen here. We can actually spit out a spec, which you can feed into a code generator, which will build you a Java Spring app, a Node app that will actually be able to kind of do this, event-driven stuff without you having to actually write code for where to connect and what to subscribe to, right? So,
yeah,
lots of. So, quick question there, Steve. Is it free? I want to set up my local dev machine with that. So, what part? The portal is not free, but it's free to sign up and try. 60-day trial, which can be extended if you really, really, really like it. So through the Solace Cloud, you have the event portal, the designer, the discovery agent, the broker. You can run a Solace broker in any region that you want. The discovery tool is free though. I mean, you can download that. That's open source. And I'll throw up the link here again. So if you just want to scan, if you have a local Kafka instance, that's what a lot of us do for our demos, is we'll have a local Kafka broker running on our laptop, and you can point the discovery agent to your laptop and see what it builds. But then to take that output scan file and look at it in the way that Steve is showing it here, then you need to sign up for the cloud and post it up there, right?
Yeah, and someone noticed they like our topic naming convention.
Good, because we put a lot of effort and work into that. Wait, which naming convention are we talking? Oh, that one. Yes, descriptive dynamic topics. Welcome to Solace world. It's not Kafka where topics are log files. This is another big differentiator between Solace and Kafka. I find is we can do filtering on any one of those levels in the broker. Which is very powerful.
And notice, unlike Kafka, we can have dynamic topics. So you can have the version number or the request ID even. Imagine there's millions of combinations of this request ID. Like every write has a different write ID, right? So that can be part of the topic as well, but it doesn't take up another file in our system, right? Solace topics are quite flexible and dynamic. You can have millions and millions of request IDs, and it won't end up with millions and millions of log files on your system.
That's right. Yeah, I actually have a video on this. Go on to YouTube, just type in Kafka versus Solace topics. It's probably, I think it's my most watched one. But very quickly, Kafka topics are log files because it was a log shipping. It was built as a way to kind of ingest log files from lots of places. Topics in Solace are essentially each message that you send. The topic of that message is kind of metadata belonging just to that message, and it doesn't exist anywhere within the broker. There's a pattern matching that happens with your subscription when it lands on the broker. So there's a subscription on the broker or multiple ones. It'll look at each topic as it comes in one by one and kind of do that pattern matching there. So it's a very different way of kind of how we route data, even though the word topic is the same and PubSub is the same between the two. They're implemented quite differently.
Yeah. And we've got a good question about this dynamic topic.
Which one's that?
That's the last.
Not this one.
The last comment. What's the overhead of such a dynamic naming convention?
Oh,
do you want to take that?
Well, I mean, if you make your topics really, 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 really long, then you're obviously adding additional bandwidth to your network. But very minimal, pretty much nothing, right? Think of I would say it's almost think of Solace more as like an IP switch or an IP router. Every packet that you send, every TCP packet has an IP, like a source and a dest, and the router is kind of doing matching on a packet by packet basis to figure out which port switch, kind of way where to send it, right, based on a routing table. The way that Solace does its topic matching and message routing is kind of similar to that. So, if there could be performance issues if you had an exceptionally deep topic hierarchy of like 50 levels, and you had a wild card at the first 48 levels, and then like all the matching was happening at the very end. That would cause the broker's kind of subscription matching engine to probably have to work harder than it needs to. But our brokers can do millions of messages matching per second, so I don't think it's much. You gain much more in flexibility, architectural, the routing and filtering behavior, then you need to worry about kind of performance overhead, in my opinion. So, Steve, do you want to have counter offer or?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Solace is known for very low latency. So in Kafka, you're lucky if you can get like 30 millisecond latency between producer and consumer, and that's very lucky. With Solace, it's normally 1 millisecond or less. So it's much lower latency anyway to start with than something like Kafka. So I don't think this dynamic topic really impacts performance much at all.
Again, like it's if you get away from the thinking that in the Kafka broker, to create a topic means you have to configure files on a server, that's not the way it works in Solace. Is basically, as a publisher, when you code your text message and you say send, and you say send to this topic, it's just a free text string that is sent along with the message. And when the broker receives it, it takes a look at that topic and it goes and looks in its matching engine, which is all high performance in memory data structure, and it figures out the subscribers that that message is going to. So it's just essentially kind of a hierarchical pattern matching that happens on a message by message basis. So we have many customers that have topic hierarchies in the 5 to 10 level depth. They might include the country code, might include the publisher ID, it'll include details about what's in the payload, and then if you, as a subscriber, if you want everything, you can put a lot of stars, wildcards. If you want something very specific, you just specify each level specifically. And the broker filters and does all that kind of work for you, so that you as a client don't need to do additional filtering, or at least much reduced filtering based on you can specify this. So
yeah, let me show you something in the Event Portal. See, we treat the topic as individual fields that are separately addressed. So if I click on a particular level, you can see all the levels below it. So for example, from acme/ride/share/billing, you can see there's driver, ride, billing, or trip. All right, at this level, and at this level, okay, there's only receipt. So at each level, you can see the combinations, the what else you can do. So if I say billing, then it goes to driver, and then from driver, I can see there's funds, requested status, and so on, right? So we treat a topic like a very, very dynamic and flexible string. It's not just a string, right? It's actually alive. The topic is alive, and it's got many facets to it.
It's a description. It's generally a description of what's in the payload. Any part of the payload that you might want to be able to route and filter on, that kind of gets elevated to should be in the topic, right? Like the driver ID is something that I might want to add a subscription for specifically, right? Maybe not the name, the name probably doesn't belong in the topic, but
I guess the topic for us is more like a URI, like a World Wide Web URI. Right? It's got something / something / something. So it's very
almost
descriptive.
And it looks like one too.
Yeah, it uses slash as well.
I love this comment though. I'm supporting Solace where the developers implemented extremely cryptic topics prod/1/2/local. That's why there should be architects, system level architects in charge of topic design and not developers. As a developer, I would happily, as a developer, you just kind of start building and just kind of grows, without kind of much thought for kind of the end game. But when, this tool, the Event Portal helps you with some of that, but creating a well-rounded and descriptive Solace hierarchy is, it's kind of an architectural practice that you need to kind of think about what type of data do I have? Where do I want it to go? What kind of filtering do I want to be able to do on it? And if you just have these topics that, I mean, cryptic is one thing. You can have a lookup table for that, I guess. But yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. I just want to say hi to my friend Franklin. Hey, Franklin, how are you from Dubai? Yes, good to see you again.
That's cool. Hey, speaking of discovery agents, let me something I was working on over Christmas. I was working on a bit of a sneak preview for, so, talking about topic hierarchies, I wrote a tool that actually got put into the portal here for doing kind of topic hierarchy discovery, specifically for Solace topics, because they are hierarchical as compared to Kafka topics. And if you want to do a scan and import it and visually see it, I built a tool for that, which is now in the portal. So I've been working on version 2 for about a year. And let me just borrow the screen here, Steve. I'm going to hide that banner for 1 second. I don't know where I put that. Hold on, let me get rid of this. There we go.
Yeah, while you do that, I'll just explain. So because the topic is such a live thing in Solace, we have tools, and Aaron's written some tools to visualize the topic space.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because the topic is like a massive tree with many roots. Okay, I'll hand it to you, Aaron.
Yeah, well, this is a combination of the new topic event discovery thing, as well as, we were talking about security just a little bit ago, right? So when you do a topic scan, some people actually have sensitive customer data inside their topic hierarchy, maybe customer names or IDs, or I don't know, hopefully no credit card numbers are in your topic hierarchy, maybe. I spent some time writing an obfuscator that if you put in a topic scan, it'll actually do a dictionary word remapping. And so all the words that you see here, let me full screen this guy. There we go. All the words here have been replaced. Robes was actually stats. Lug was actually VPN. Barton was actually system. And it does this mapping. And so it allows you to kind of we can still walk around our topic hierarchy and explore, kind of drilling down level by level. This is the topic discovery tool, by the way, and this is going to be part of the Solace Cloud eventually. But it allows you to look at the metrics kind of the messages inside your message VPN. But of course, I've replaced all the words with other words. So, if your security people were really concerned, you could say, hey, don't worry about it. We'll just replace all of the details with some random words made up here. And then you can take it into the event portal, do the discovery agent like Steve was showing there with kind of the diagramming of who's publishing to what. And if you want to look at metrics, so like the number of topics or number of messages per topic, maybe the number of bytes per topic, you could kind of rejig it. That is what's going to be available coming, I think fairly soon. I'm pretty sure this tool is getting close to being working. So yeah, I've been playing with this a little bit. So anyway,
Aaron, is the mapping reversible? So if you wanted to find out what was the original topic name, is it possible? Okay.
No, it is. It's not yet, but it will be. So if I go in, this might take a little while.
For approved staff only. So those people who are approved can find out what the mapping was from, and then figure out what the original topic was, I guess.
Yeah, and this obfuscation, that the thing that I built, it's very simple. It's like a single class, and I went and grabbed a dictionary of Scrabble words that I found online, and basically, it scans through your topics hierarchy strings and replaces words with other words, and it saves that to a mapped file, basically a giant properties file, a Java properties file. So I haven't built the reverse mapping yet, but it does exist. And so what happens is you can say, well, I'll keep the mapped kind of mapping on my side, and what I upload to Solace Cloud will be the obfuscated version. So like whatever goes into the public, into the cloud is kind of hidden, but locally I can always go reverse. So, and it was built specifically for a customer around security concerns. They're like, I don't want to send all this data. So anyway, that's my new topic explorer. So coming soon, keep an eye out for that. So,
and I think this is, I haven't seen anything like it. I don't know if it even exists elsewhere. Like this sort of kind of topic walker or topic crawler. It's pretty cool.
Thanks.
I haven't seen anything like it.
It's been a long time in the making. It supports MQTT now as well. So I've scanned some public MQTT brokers to kind of take a look at what the topics are there. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of this. I've done a lot of work to make sure it kind of goes nice and smooth. Everything's blue for testing reasons. It's going to look a little bit prettier. So anyway, what time is it? Oh, hey, do we have any more questions? Any more comments here? Let's take a look. How will the tool deal with that type of topic? I think we talked about that, right? I mean, it does. You can. There's something that Steve didn't actually show is when I'm doing a Solace topic scan, it'll actually kind of put everything, all your topics it found into a big tree, and you can assign different levels of variable names. So, you know, if you do a scan and it sees that level 2 is like a bunch of country codes, you can kind of select all level 2s and say, turn this into an enum called country, and it will actually do kind of variable replacement. So you can actually, as a architect of the system, or kind of like, you know, the overseer who's kind of trying to make sense of the topic hierarchy, there's tooling in the event portal here to actually allow you to, yeah, kind of label what different levels mean, which might actually help you with your cryptic topic hierarchy structure. So, yeah.
And yes, so someone's running Roach is asking, the file that's generated from the scan, does it contain metadata only and none of the message content?
Correct.
Yeah,
no payload. Yeah, yes. It's only, and it's very minimal metadata. It's literally just your topic. I don't even think we include the payload size.
The schema might be there if you want to scrape the schema, but not the values, just the schema.
Yeah, for Kafka, I think it's a schema.
Yeah.
It's all open source and it runs locally, so you can just do a scan, take a look at the file yourself. Obviously, the more data that we pull, you know, might be more useful later on. If you wanted to extend it to actually grab the payload and try to do something with it, I think there is something does reverse engineering, right? I think there is some part of the discovery tool that will look at the payload and try to figure out a schema.
Yes. I think it strips all the values out and just keeps the names. So the schema will contain name value pairs. So it'll keep this name, which is the schema, but not the values. Now, of course, you can have a look at this, and if there's something sensitive even in the schema, you can run it like Aaron's tool to map all the names to something else. So it obfuscates all the sensitive names.
The problem with obfuscating is, I mean, it's more like just what can the Solace visualize, but it won't actually make any sense to you. Like even looking at my that sunburst diagram, I know the data that's being visualized, and I still get kind of confused. I'm like, okay, which one is this referring? So it's more like if you really just want to demo the tool to see if it's going to be useful, but don't try and use obfuscated data, because it's just like you'll literally have no idea what refers to what, right? So real quick one here to the moon. No overhead there is a bit of overhead. There's obviously bytes on the wire. You know, if you have lots of small messages, IoT use cases, for example, with like sensor data, if you have a topic that's 100 bytes long versus a topic that is 10 bytes long, you're sending 90 bytes more data onto the wire. And there will be, but within the broker, there can be overhead if you know how to construct things badly. But I would say for the most part, nobody notices it, and it's not the slow part of the pipeline. Usually, any kind of persistent messaging disk access, that'll be your bottleneck, or network access, you know, with TCP windowing, that'll be your overhead. So really, don't go out of your way to make a crazy long topic. But as you've seen from some of the examples that Steve and I were showing, you know, some of these topics, the rideshare, the Acme rideshare demo that's there. I think, let me just switch back to Steve's screen here for a second. I think it had, how many, there are 6 levels, right? Or more.
Let me see. I think it had more. So if I cancel this, you can see for this particular event, it had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 levels.
Yeah. 8 levels. Yeah. And so, I mean, that would make a topic string probably about 40, 50 characters long. So yeah, that's fine. That is absolutely fine. It's the benefit of, from now on, I can subscribe to this particular driver or all drivers, or this particular rider or all riders, or this particular location, you know, because latitude, longitude was in the updated one, not this one, but the other one. You can subscribe to an area. So having a more descriptive topic is generally better in the long run because it gives you more flexibility in your application design, like how you want to route and filter that data. If you have a topic that's very not descriptive, like literally the topic is ride accepted, and you don't know which driver or which rider or which fare number or which location, you're going to have to do what Kafka does, which is basically take every message out of that topic and look at the payload and do content routing on that data. Whereas if it's in the topic, as in Solace world, you can use wildcards, or you can use a specific topic. Each level you can specify what you want to receive. So.
Yeah, like for example, this other event, this is a ride requested event. That means a passenger has requested to go somewhere on this ride share. This topic has 10 levels, but it includes
wow, that's pretty long.
Yeah, that's pretty long. But it includes the start latitude and the start longitude. That means it's got the location of the passenger as well. Obviously, it's needed for the pickup, which makes it a bit longer. It's got a customer ID and a request ID, all of which are dynamic fields in the topic. Because obviously there's an infinite number of locations in the world.
Yep. So basically, we've done GPS examples where, like, as a truck or a bus or whatever is driving along, it's publishing messages with its location. Every single message is going to be a different topic, right? Because it's publishing on a different location. But having the latitude, longitude in your topic string allows you to do cool things like this, where you can actually set up, geofencing to say, I only want to receive topics in a certain area. Every one of those little blue squares, like this blue rectangle, and those are topic subscriptions. So the broker is actually doing the filtering. You can see I'm only receiving about 20 messages per second here, because the broker is actually filtering by this area, versus if I turn this off, I'm now going to receive the full feed of about 150 messages per second. So, having the topic, having a descriptive topic with your driver ID, your passenger ID, your latitude, longitude allows you to do all sorts of filtering in the broker itself. Well, I guess I'm covering up I didn't notice I was covering up there we go. My little box down at the bottom there. Yeah, that's what I was trying to show. The message rate is coming in there. So anyway,
yeah, I think this demo deserves more time. Maybe we'll do it next time.
We'll do it next time. I've showed it a couple times, but yeah, we can do geo filtering with topics in the Solace world, which is pretty awesome. And this is available open source as well. So, okay. Hey, Steve, we're actually a little bit over. Hello, thanks for joining. We're about to finish though, but at least the replay for this will be available on YouTube. You'll be able to watch this in perpetuity. One last comment here. Not like to grab payload. Just thinking, yeah. Anyway, download the discovery tool, give it a try, point it to your local broker. It doesn't have to be Solace Cloud broker. It can be your on-prem Docker broker, your hardware appliance, whatever you want. It's all available there. So yeah. Steve, it's been great. Thanks for joining me. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, enjoyed it. It's my pleasure.
Thanks to everybody for your questions. I think this was a pretty productive office hours. So we're going to be trying to do this with a bit more regular cadence. I think it's going to be once a month at least. I think every Tuesday, whatever. We'll post on Solace Community when we're going to be doing this. But if you enjoyed it, please give it a like. Let us know. Come find us in Solace Community. Ask more questions there. And thanks again, Steve. And
thanks, Aaron.
We'll see you next time. All right. Thanks, everyone.
See you. Bye.